Go class for my nigga. Before we roll. The world turned its back on me. I'm a criminal. We got soldiers. He got soldiers, but I got different ones. Like hell way out, I tell you what. Don't pray for nothing. That's in the church. We can't forget it was for me. Remain in the church side. Just in the Lord, oh please, forgive me for the time that I did on the greatest gift. Have no respect to your bring all the people you didn't say. It's your people that trying to bring over the bathroom. They said everything in matches. I'm just ready for my time share. The levels they can't fail. They look you like can't fail. But they don't get it out the day that you munch it. Or if you take that office and back try to give death to a priest. You won't make it out in one day, so you can stay. Just make sure you got the heart. Say your thing 3 times, and it's death to his heart. So how you feel about this truth about the show? You acting like you did, nigga. I should walk out. You be your own people on this show. And we don't know if they hate you on my name. You better keep it on. Ain't no more kids, ain't no more questions. Make sure my election till I'm tucked away like George Dixon. Murder for colonized, murder at the Capitol. The world's in the neighbor, we like fucking rapists. I'll put it on my life as it goes by. We give it mercy in his life, I don't know why. It's no smoke, never tried over it. They say I'm my brother, we been dead, so I don't fall to loop. I miss a loop. They like, how you say focus? I told them I'm motivated to be true, my niggas. Brotherhoods and weapons, still got weapons on the street. And I never do my niggas like Bishop did right here. Never mind, you don't believe. They under MC. So they said she really said she wanted to let that love go. So I let that love go. But if I bring you to my bed, that's a fail. So, how you feel about this truth, about the show? And take it like the niggas, I should walk. Leave it alone, people know this zone. And the Lord said that hate you for my name, so you better keep it on. Take that.
I'm in a hell of a home, was never expected to grow. The subsequent sin in the road, never resorted inside of my soul. The story I'm telling is cold, but yet it's what everyone knows. The way that the devil was known, America was never my home. Only a place to continue to be saved, facility hating is fitting me. They claim that I'm busy, be telling me, nigga, this slavery drain my energy. 400 years and countless, the trail of my tears is countless. The fact of them years is countless, but I can't wait till this shit is around. Ready to tangle my king in the hands to be ready to grab, cracking the sky. Using the mental to make it official on capturing every crack I'm surviving. Put them all in change, better eat the peace, they would be for me. And let the whole world see the rhythm in the kids to stay on the streets. Put the dog on leash, get resolved for the beast. 144, get the bullet show, we get down be a beast. As soon as the trumpets are sound, your king will be busting it down. The only way justice is found, the time for your judgment is now. See just how it feels, baby, it's a
Oh yeah? Can you hand me those glasses on that table? Thank you, sweetheart.
Look, ain't no remorse in my blood cell. There won't be no compromise. Now it's time to feed the worms. Watch your body till it flies. I clutch iron while you trust the lies. The next block I'm back gonna be dignified by getting customized. And singing shots on like farewell. Praying him back, come back around like a carousel. Still remember your Hollywood ringing in my head like bells. Set you in this body, you feel it low. I fuck the cocktails. I ain't gonna trip the cocktails. To this game, I got this barbell. Take back to the bitch in this dress. She a bombshell. This bitch serve cold. I just hope they make it hostile. Block fresh out the box. I swear I got that new cocktail. Make myself a target in the world of man shooters. Devils design fire for our faces and plans. Cover the day of my kingdom's brain out. They overzealous. They all my jealous. I want brand new pair. You see just how it feels. Baby, it's a like this. If that nigga won't want, bitch, we ready. It ain't hard to find us. How about you that stick? Line low with my hip, baby. Line up, that nigga name is Slayer. What you think we be gonna try? Suck on shit, we got it. You in case you shot it up. Look, it's like I'm crazy, think I'm playing. I bitch, I hate the one. One by everything, so who is you, bitch? I don't need to love. Put it on the way. What you think I'm looking? Shower shit on my phone. You can kick some shot of fun. Put it on my wall. Put it up, clips in your arm. I just wanna take my piece. I don't wanna take my piece. I really wanna take my piece. No, I can't let a dog take it from me. I can't let a dog take it from me. Put a host for the hit from me. Ain't person really out this bitch walking around like damn no nothing. In the lane, nigga, off phone. And get set up for the coins. And get done with that. I'm mad and I should have took the time to get that more. But I see the summer in the show, so you never get a free smoke. You're a dirty ass, what's that nigga? Bitch, with a big ass dick. Into the sea, what I'm talking. In the Tennessee, what you looking. And a sucker duck, bitch ass boy, fuck nigga over that big mother. I say, think that nigga won't want, bitch, we ready. It ain't hard to find us. I got keep that stick. Line loaded, from your page, line up. Your nigga name is Slayer. What you think when you get done to try? Suck on shit, we got it. You in case you shot it off. Look, bitch, think I'm crazy, think I'm playing. My bitch, I hate the one. Don't like everything. So who is you, bitch? I don't need to love. Just for my new way. What you think I love this brother? Hood. I know lady niggas at the beat. He can't go on some people. You a little nigga in the beat. They sell bar with a beat. Yeah, AR to the boot. Drink over with a like a suit. And it clip one in the suit. I shoot your ass in the street. Walk with your ass in the tip. We the thing, my tip. Tell the truth, all you can do. You're strong, all like a liquor. They walk down my road, but they come down my road. Or come down my road, or I talk an asshole. I'm a real big free skipper. Louis J. Webb, a cheese skipper. Come in to get a damn water, but ain't nothing we can cheat. I fucking bad like a cat. Always was for a tech. Ball like a close comeback. They got popped off for a neck. And that nigga won't walk, bitch, we ready. It ain't hard to find us. I got keep that stick. Now I'm blowing from your face. Round up, that nigga name is Slayer. What you think when you get done to try? Suck on shit, we got it. You in case you shot it off. Baby,
right, start it up. Get started. Start off by reading what the ISUPK is about. You find this on ISUPK.com. In the ISUPK, we're educating so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians about their true heritage, which is comprised of the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Bible. Once our people begin to follow the laws in the Bible, God, or Yahweh in the Hebrew, will look down from heaven and have mercy on us. He will also send Christ to free us from our oppression. Using the Bible, the Israelite school of universal and practical knowledge will fix all of the problems of the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Indian communities, turning a lawless and immoral people into a law-abiding, righteous people. The true nationality of the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Indians, and West Indians of North, Central, and South America are the true descendants of the lost 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. In Jesus Christ, or in the Hebrew, Yahweh Shai Mashiach is our King. All right. Now I see a brother typed in the question. Let's go ahead and get it. Shalom Yahweh Shalom the triple Makuyah. He said in Hosea 13 and 14, why does he say he's the God of Egypt? All right. Let's go ahead and get that. All right. Okay, I don't see that in there. You might have to put the correct precept in there. This one doesn't say anything about Egypt in this one. So I'll go ahead and give you a second to type in Hosea 13 and 14. It's not mentioning anything about Egypt. Get that for another few seconds. Is that the correct precept you were looking for? Shalom Yabashim Yashar Malakah. Ragabar. 13 and 4. Okay, no sweat. The water. Get to that right. All right, let's go there. The book of Hosea, chapter 13, verse 4. All right, let's see. Let's go up a couple of verses. We'll go to verse 2. Everybody, we'll start at verse 1. The book of Hosea, chapter 13, and verse 1. When Ephraim spake trembling, he exalted himself in Israel. But when he offended in Baal, he died. All right, so the book of Hosea was written by the prophet Hosea, who was one of the few prophets that are in our Bible today, in our records, that was from the northern kingdom. And Hosea was going and basically checking the brothers in the northern kingdom at this time and telling them that they were wrong. They need to turn away from the sins that they were doing and join back in with their brothers, or there's going to be a lot of things that are bad that are going to happen to them for this. And so the head tribe of the so-called southern kingdom, right, was the tribe of Judah, and the head tribe of the so-called northern kingdom was the tribe of Ephraim, which would be today the modern day so-called Puerto Ricans, right? So it's saying when Ephraim spake extremely, he exalted himself in Israel, but when he offended in Baal, he died. So when these brothers from this tribe exalted themselves, put them over the northern tribes, they eventually became destroyed because they were worshiping Baal. All right, verse 2. And now they sin more and more, and have made them molten images of their silver, and idols according to their own understanding. All of it the work of the craftsmen. They say of them, let the men that sacrifice kiss the calves. So, even to this day, as I was talking to the brother Makamyat, and he was explaining to me the culture of the tribe of Issachar today that deals with La Virgen de Guadalupe, that deals with the version of Guadalupe, the so-called, well, they talk about this vision that they had in Mexico of the Virgin Mary. And people buy these statues to this day, and they bow down and they worship the Virgin Mary more than they do the Creator. This is nothing new under the sun. The people from modern day Puerto Rico to this day, the tribe of Israel, from the tribe of Israel, right, the tribe of Ephraim, they are very big on buying candles, dealing with, I think, what is it called? Brujerías, witches, witchcraft, Santeria, all these things that are deriving from different forms of witchcraft and idol worship are very prevalent to this day, and it's going back into the time of Hosea. And it says, let the men that sacrifice kiss the calves. So the calf was symbolic of Baal. The cow, the calf, the bull, all these things, these animals are what was used to worship Baal. And to this day, the bull is very important in our oppressors' society. If you go down to Wall Street, where the center of commerce, trading, trafficking, meaning business in America and the world, Wall Street, there's a giant calf or a giant bull cow that people go and touch for good luck. They go and touch this bull to help them make money. This is what was going on back then, and we know another time in our history when the Israelites had turned to a cow and worshipped it, which is something they learned in Egypt, right? That's what happened when Moses went up on the mountain and he came down, and his brother Aaron had allowed or assisted the people in building calves made of gold so they could worship the gods that they had in Egypt to bring them some type of favor or good luck. All right, so let's keep going. Verse 3. Therefore, they shall be as the morning cloud, and as the early dew that passeth away, as the shaft that is driven with the whirlwind out of the floor. You know, you wake up in the morning, especially here in the Bay Area, you're in the East Bay, San Francisco, you're going to see a lot of fog in the morning. You can see a lot of overcast. But during the afternoon, it goes away. That's the same thing. It's talking about the clouds, the morning clouds, they're going to pass away. That's what's going to happen to the Israelites that are worshiping these other gods. That's what's going to happen to the so-called Northern Kingdom, people that were following underneath Ephraim. They're going to be destroyed and pass away just like that. And as the smoke out of the chimney, Everybody barbecue, grill. We don't really have chimneys in the hood, not too many people. But that smoke that comes out of a chimney, a grill, a fire pit, just fades away. That's what happened to the people. Verse 4. Yet I am Yahweh, thy power, from the land of Egypt, and thou shalt know no power but me, for there is no Savior beside me. So I'm sure in this question, and you might even see, I think conscious community, people in the conscious community might try to pull this precept to say that our power or our God comes from Egypt. That's not what it's saying. These people that say this, and I'm not saying the brother is saying this, maybe he came across that or maybe he just wouldn't understand it. But the people that promote this to mean that our power comes from Egypt, they don't have a good ability to comprehend, Old English. They don't have a good ability to comprehend uh, reading comprehension of what's going on here. So the context of what's being said is saying, yet I am Yahweh, thy power, from the land of Egypt, and thou shalt know no power but me, but there is no Savior beside me. He's just saying that I am the power that delivered the children from the land of Egypt. That's what Yahweh was known for. This is where we got the name Yahweh from. Knowing it from Moses, he was told this name that he got on Mount Sinai. This is what we began to know our power as, the power that delivered us from the hands of Egypt. I'm going to read verse 5 and then I'll give you a precept for that. I did know thee in the wilderness, in the land of great drought. According to their pasture, so were they filled. They were filled, and their heart was exalted. Therefore have they forgotten me. The Lord knew us and we didn't have anything. We were lost in the wilderness. And now we have gotten to the promised land and we have started to become wealthy, especially the tribes of the so-called northern kingdom. Their land was very fertile. They had land that was very valuable and produced a lot of resources, and they were able to make a lot of money. And so once they were gaining this money, in the middle of verse 6, and their heart was exalted, therefore they have forgotten me. It's no different than celebrities. You look at them early in their career, people in movies, actors, television, music, all different forms of entertainment, sports players. A lot of them, when they're first become famous or get money, you see them win awards, they're going to give credit to what they believe is the Most High God. But as they start to get more money and more established, it's talked less and less about God. They fear they'll lose endorsements or they'll offend this group or offend that group, so they don't speak about the Lord anymore. But when they're down and they're in the trenches trying to come up, they're calling to the Lord, praying to the Lord before they go to an audition, praying to the Lord before they go hit the field and do tryouts, praying to the Lord before they go into this office trying to get a record deal. They're always calling out to the Lord to better them. It's the same how we were, but once they got established, they turn away from that. And that's something that we've been doing since these days, all right? So let's go ahead. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah. Jeremiah chapter 16, verse 14. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 16, and verse 14. I'll give you a second to get there with me. One more time. The book of Jeremiah, chapter 16, verse 14. And it reads, therefore, behold, the days come, saith Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. And you will see it in so many other, I could give you about 10 other precepts that mimic this or talk about The God that delivered you from Egypt. See, let's see if I can get another one. Exodus chapter 20, verse 2. We'll go to that one. But before we go to that one, let's go and read this one more time. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 16, verse 14. Therefore, behold, the days cometh, saith Yahweh, that it shall no more be said, Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. This is what our power was known for, and this is how we always remembered him. Salakia. Hey, do not write on that. If you need some paper, come get some paper. All right? Salakia. But this is how we remembered him and honored him and knew him, because those are the great things that he had did for us, and it was the greatest thing that had ever happened to the children of Israel as a nation at that point in time. All right? And the reason why it'll be said that we will no longer call him the God that brought us out of Egypt, verse 15, but Yahweh liveth, that brought up the children of Israel from the land of the north, and from all lands whither he had driven them. And I will bring them again into their land that I gave unto their fathers. So now, at this point in time, this is talking about us being delivered from this captivity today. That us being delivered from the land of the north, or America, and from all the different captivities that we have been spread out to the four corners of the earth. It'll be so great. It'll be so glorious. It'll be so magnificent that we will not even talk about how he delivered us from the hands of those stinking Hamites in Egypt. That we will call him the God that delivered us from the hands of the oppressors in America, from the hands of these so-called European devils that have enslaved us for over 500 years. That's how great and glorious it'll be, because Egypt was a great empire. Egypt had a lot of weaponry, a great military. Egypt didn't have nuclear bombs like America does. Egypt didn't have stealth bombers, helicopters, ARs, big 50 caliber weapons. Egypt didn't have all that. So for the Lord to deliver us from them, to delivering us from America, it makes Egypt seem like small fries, like kibbles and bits compared to how great the Lord has to be to deliver us from a power like America. But let's go back to Exodus chapter 20, verse 2. And we'll get one of the beginning of first times we hear this in the Bible, but you can find it throughout the Bible. If you want more precepts, just give me a text after class. But the book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 1, this is where we get what they call the Ten Commandments, the beginning of the laws. And the power spake all these words, saying, I am Yahweh, thy power, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. And you'll just hear it all throughout the scriptures, So that's why it said in Hosea, the God of Egypt from Egypt, the God that delivered us, the power that delivered us from Egypt. If you have any more questions, go ahead, put them in the chat. Let's see, any other questions in the chat or something in the chat? Let's go ahead and get into tonight's topic. We're going to talk about something that it's an important topic for Christians and fake Israelites. Christians view tithes as something that should still be honored. To this day, they tell Christians in the church to pay tithes to their pastor. They tell them that if they don't pay tithes, they're shortchanging the church. They use, what's that? I believe, is that the book of Malachi? It's Malachi. The entire book of Malachi is chastising the children of Israel for not paying tithes. Let me see if that's correct. I believe it has the precept where it says, right, will a man rob God? No. If you go to the entire book of Malachi, it's talking to the priests and the different men that have not honored the Lord in paying tithes. Go to Malachi chapter 1 and verse 6. Book of Malachi chapter 1 and verse 6. A son honoreth his father, and a servant his master. If then I be a father, where is mine honor? The Lord is a father to the children of Israel. The son is supposed to honor their father. The Most High is saying, if he's the father of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Indians, why is he not receiving any honor? And if I be a master, where is my fear? Saith Yahweh of hosts unto you. And the word host means armies, right? The Lord of armies, Yahweh of armies, the power of all armies. Power of his armies, you know what I mean? The Lord is a man of war. I'll keep going. O priests that despise my name, and ye say, wherein have we despised thy name? We go out and correct these pastors, these Christian pastors, T.D. Jakes, couple of dollars, those are the top two you always hear us referring to, but it's hundreds of them. It's thousands of them. You go to any ghetto in America, you're going to see Christian churches, 2 and 3 on one block in the ghettos. You're going to see iglesias, 2 and 3 on the same block in the barrios, and little side corner stores, and little shops, sometimes above someone's home, below someone's home, or big churches. Doesn't matter. These different cities and towns, these cats are pulling in money. Everybody's not having a mega church like Creflo Dollar, but when you compare it to the ISUPK, in numbers, there are many mega churches all over the nation. What do I mean by that? I remember seeing something in the news about Sacramento, and I believe there was a pastor out there that was taking some money or doing something wrong, and they were saying his congregation was a church, I want to say, of 10,000 members. I'll give it that. But I think it might have been 15,000 members. And I've never heard of this church before. I've never heard of the pastor before. But right here, there's a church with 15,000 members. You know what we could do here in Northern California if we had 15,000 brothers and sisters underneath our command? We could change the entire Bay Area, Northern California, with 15,000 people. You know how I know this to be true? Because we're doing it with just a few small amount. But anyway, why am I saying that? If you go and tell these pastors that they have despised the name of the Lord, they're going to ask you how. What have they done? Wrong. They feel like they're doing the right thing. Verse 7, ye offer polluted bread upon mine altar, and ye say, wherein have we polluted thee? And that ye say the table of the Lord or the table of Yahweh is contemptible. So they say, how have we polluted the Most High? What have we done to poison the name of the Most High or go against him? He's going to explain, right? Verse 8. And if ye offer the blind for sacrifice, is it not evil? And if ye offer the lame and sick, is it not evil? Offer it now unto thy governor. Will he be pleased with thee, or accept thy person? Saith the Lord of hosts. They are giving up their people, the blind. Christ talks about the blind leading the blind. So they both fall into a ditch. These people sell us over and use us to profit themselves and try to act like they're men of God. That's what was going on back then. They're taking advantage of the poor, the weak, the people that are blind in essence, and they're sacrificing them, giving their goods that they've worked hard for, that they've suffered for, that they've slaved for, and acting like it's a righteous gift to the Most High. All right, let's keep going. Verse 9. And now I pray you, beseech the Most High, that he will be gracious unto us. This hath been by your means, will he regard your persons, saith Yahweh of hosts. Verse 10. Who is there even among you that will shut the doors for naught? Neither do you kindle fire on my altar for naught. I have no pleasure in you, saith Yahweh of hosts. Neither will I accept an offering at your hand. Okay. Let's skip down. We'll drop down to the book of Malachi, chapter 2, verse 1. And now, O ye priests, this commandment is for you. If you will not hear, and if you will not lay it to your heart to give glory unto my name, said Yahweh of hosts, I will even send a curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Yea, I have cursed them already, because ye do not lay it to heart. Let's see. But long story short, for time's sake, let's go ahead. Basically, these men were taking this money, taking these tithes that were given to them from the poor, and they were using it to benefit themselves, when in reality, the tithes were supposed to go to help the fatherless, to help the widows, to help the poor of Israel, not to abuse the poor of Israel. These rich pastors today take the money from the poor, take the money from your poor grandmother, her grandma at home watching TV, seeing this pastor on there, getting gamed up. Everybody is weary of the elderly dealing with scammers. You got an elderly family member, she gets a call from someone over the phone saying all they need is her social security card. All they need is her debit card. She sends some money to them and they're going to become rich. Anyone in their right mind would tell grandma and granny to hang up the goddamn phone. That's a scammer. But the biggest scam that granny has to get past is her church, is the pastor she listens to every Sunday on TV. And so they're not taking the money from the people and from the rich people and giving it back to the poor. They're taking money from the poor people and giving it to the rich. And that's why the Bible says, will a man rob God? Let's get that precept and we'll get further into the topic about tithes. Malachi chapter 3 and verse 8. Book of Malachi, chapter 3, and verse 8. Will a man rob God? It's a question. Yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, wherein have we robbed thee? In tithes and offerings. Ye are cursed with a curse, for ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that may be meat in mine house. And prove me now herewith, saith Yahweh of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, there shall not be room enough to receive it. And I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your grounds. Neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, saith Yahweh of hosts. So, you fake pastors out there, you know what I mean? Will you think you're gonna get away with what you're doing? That's what the Lord is saying. Like, you think you're gonna rob God? How are you gonna rob the Lord? Your mind, you saying, how we rob God? From tithes and offerings. That's how you're stealing from the world. You're not paying to the true priests and prophets. You should be giving that money to the priests and prophets in the ISUBK in the commanding Junior Hana. Give that money to commanding Junior Hana, Creflo Dollar, TD Jakes, because you're a thief. You're stealing from the Lord. You're taking the money from his people, his nation of people, and enriching yourselves and bettering your life. You say TD Jakes has a home, not TD Jakes. Him, I get him confused. It might be Creflo Dollar. His daughter had to call 911 to come to her house, and they were trying to find the address to come and help them. But the property that they lived on was so big, it had its own zip code. It didn't even register with the regular city. All right. Let's go to we'll go to 2 Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 1. Oh, sorry. 2 Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 1. The book of 2 Maccabees chapter 3 and verse 1. Now, when the holy city was inhabited with all peace, and the laws were kept very well, because of the godliness of Onias, the high priest, and his hatred of wickedness. So the city was under the rulership of a high priest named Onias. He was doing the right thing because he hated wickedness and wanted to lead the people in the right way. Verse 2. It came to pass that even the kings themselves did honor the place and magnified the temple with their best gifts. Different people of different nations sent in money, were paying triple. Right? Verse 3. Insomuch that Seleucus, king of Asia, of his own revenues, bare all the costs belonging to the service of the sacrifices. So this wealthy king was making payments and taking the cost upon himself of what we needed to do to make these sacrifices. Verse 4. But one Simon of the tribe of Benjamin, who was made governor of the temple, fell out with the high priest about this order in the city. So this man Simon, he fell out with Onias because he had a lack of brotherhood and a lust for power. All right, that's what was going on with Onias and Simon. Let's keep going. Verse 5. And when he could not overcome Onias, he got him to Apollonius, the son of Thracius, who then was governor of Seleucia and Phoenix, and told him that the treasury in Jerusalem was full of infinite sums of money, so that the multitude of their riches, which did not pertain to the account of the sacrifices, was innumerable, and that it was possible to bring all into the king's hands. So he went to this heathen and basically told him, because he couldn't knock Onias out of his position of power, he tried to backdoor him, as they would say today, and go to another nation to overthrow him and tell them that they had infinite sums of money. So this is one thing you see, that it was money inside the temple, and it wasn't just a bunch of corn and wheat as fake Israelites. So on one hand, we have the Christian church that wants to take all your money and say that's what you do, you're supposed to pay tithes, but they deny that we're not supposed to keep the laws of God, not supposed to keep the laws of the Old Testament. But it's very ironic, it's very interesting that the only law they want you to honor is the law of paying tithes. I wonder why that is. Then on the other side, you have different fake Israelites that says we shouldn't pay tithes with money. We should only pay tithes with corn and fruit, vegetables. They don't have the true understanding of the Bible, and they don't understand how these laws were written up for a nation of people, how to orchestrate and organize a nation of people, and not dealing with a small level in their mind. Right? And so, let's see. Let's drop that. Let's go to Second Maccabees chapter 3. Keep going to verse 7. I'm going to go on down to verse 11. And so even today, the type of society you live in today is what they call a post-industrial society. It's not a society that deals with manufacturing. America is a service economy. People provide services for people. This is where the majority of the money comes from. They've gone into technology. All of these things is the foundation of the economy of America today. But before that, before the Industrial Revolution, the majority of the world's economy was based on agriculture. It was an agrarian society, farming. This is the type of place that we come from in the land of Israel. And it's hard for people to imagine large industrial plots of land. In our mind, when you hear about tithes, you're thinking about somebody coming and paying tithes from a garden. Oh, I grew some tomatoes in the backyard. I got about 200 tomatoes. I'm going to give 20 tomatoes to the priest. Moses was trying to organize a nation of people. It's not 20 tomatoes coming in, it's a 10%. These are people that have vineyards and large acres of grapes, large acres of corn, large acres of grain, etc. And they're coming to pay tithes with these things. It's not going to work well with the temple. It's going to have to be some way to still benefit the priests, but not overload them with things that are perishable. Perishable items, meaning things that will go bad, that will be spoiled. You giving the priest, one man come and bring in 2,000 tomatoes, another man come and bring in 15,000 pieces of corn or ears of corn. What in the hell are the priests going to do with that? It's all going to go bad. You're only going to be able to eat for a certain amount of time. And you giving them tithes was basically futile. It was useless, right? Had no use. Okay, so like I see Maki Bell had another question. Put that on the screen. Said, Salaki, if I may, what was the purpose of sacrifice? Is there a scripture that says the reason for it? Yep, I will get that answer for you right now. Go to the book of Psalms, chapter 51 and verse 17. So, book of Psalms, chapter 51 and verse 17. I got a few precepts for that too. Matter of fact, let's go to Psalms 50 and we'll start at verse 12. All right. The book of Psalms, chapter 50 and verse 12. Let me start up. Start at verse 7. Right. The book of Psalms, chapter 50 and verse 7. Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel, and I will testify against thee. I am thy power, even I am the Most High, even thy power. I will not reprove thee for thy sacrifices, or thy burnt offerings to have been continually before me. What's the definition of reprove? Alexis, what's the definition of reprove?
The verb reprove is usually defined as to criticize or correct, especially gently. For more, ask me to give you more definitions for reprove.
More definitions of reprove. More definitions of reprove. Alexa, give me more definitions of reprove.
I have three more definitions for the verb reprove. 1. To disapprove of strongly, censure. 2. To disprove or refute. 3. To speak in reproof, administer a reproof. Did that answer your question?
Right.
Thanks for your feedback.
Hold on, Blaine. All right, so the Lord saying He's not going to check you or correct you or chastise us because of the sacrifices that they have been doing, because the people were sacrificing. They were continuously sacrificing. They had no problem with doing it. Verse 9, I will take no bullock out of thy house, nor he goat out of thy fold. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle upon 1,000 hills. The Lord is saying, in your mind, you're thinking, I can be a sinner. Shalom to the sister Angela as well. Coming into the class. Yahweh Shemal, Yahweh Shemal Shai. All right. The Lord is saying, all of the birds, all of the beasts of the field, all the cows, the cattle belong to me. I do not want these sacrifices from you because the Lord is greedy And he wants you to kill a bull so that he can be full, so that he can enrich himself. That's what your pastor wants. He wants you to give these tithes. He wants you to sacrifice your money so that he can better himself. But that's not what the Lord is doing this for. All right? Verse 12. Let's see, verse 11. I know all the fowls of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine. Verse 12. If I were hungry, I would not tell thee, for the world is mine, and the fullness thereof. If the Lord was hungry, if he needed some help, he needed some assistance, who the hell is he to call little old you down here on planet Earth to help assist the Lord, to feed him? That's not what these books are for. Keep reading. Verse 13. Will I eat the flesh of bulls or drink the blood of goats? Verse 14. Offer unto the Most High thanksgiving and pay thy vows unto the Most High, and call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me. But unto the wicked saith, but unto the wicked the Most High saith, what hast thou to do to declare my statutes, or that thou shouldest take my covenant in thy mouth? See, thou hast instruction, and casteth my words behind thee. I'm going to explain it to you right here, right now, and we'll go to the other verse in Psalm 51. The Lord was telling us to sacrifice the animals as a form of a fine for our disobedience to the law. And now we live in America, and you can understand it if you ever had the police pull you over and give you a ticket for speeding, give you a ticket for driving without your seatbelt, give you a ticket for running a red light. If we lived in a righteous nation, which we know we don't, we live in a nation that they try to trap you, get your ticket money to enrich the police department, enrich the district attorney's office, enrich all the people of the court. This is their goal behind setting up speed traps. They don't really give a damn about you speeding. But in a righteous nation, the true reason of them giving you that ticket is to save your life. It's to benefit you. If you had some child and they're riding in the car without a car seat and the police pull you over, they're giving you the ticket because they're supposed to be giving you the ticket because they truly care about that child's life. They want to make you lose something that's valuable to you, your money, and hit you with a fine. So since you didn't care about your child's life and you would have let that child fly through the windshield, they feel like they have to give you a fine in order for you to do the right thing to protect that child's life. And so this is what the Lord was doing with us. The children of Israel, we were a shepherd nation of people, a nation of shepherds, a nation of farmers, and we value our livestock. It's where you get the word livelihood. It's how you survive. It's what you live off. Your livestock. You live off of your animals. You live off of your fruit and your vegetables. And if you have to give up your most valuable bullock, your most valuable calf, the firstborn, without a blemish, you can't come and bring that weak calf, that crippled calf, the calf that walks, with barely one leg, you know what I mean? Got 3 legs, cockeyed, blind. Nah, you're not supposed to bring that calf to the Lord. You're supposed to sacrifice that prize calf, that prize cow. Especially brothers today will understand, brothers in the world that deal with pit bulls. You know, anybody that sells pit bulls are like gold today. People get a prize breed, pure bloodline, the Gotti bloodline, these different red noses, blue noses, all these different types of pits. What's that one dog? I think the dog is giant, man. I used to follow the guy on Instagram. I think it's called the Hulk. He got a whole breed of pit bulls or whatever the hell animal. I don't even know if that can be considered a goddamn pit bull. But whatever dog that is called the Hulk, the animal is coming up to the table. It's huge, it's gigantic, it's bigger than this table. It's 200 pounds. Those puppies are going for $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. Those animals are valuable, and they have two types that come out of the litter. They got the pick of the litter, the choice of the litter, and they got the runt of the litter. The one that barely survived, they had to bring back to life. You know, he's small, he's slow to move, he can't latch on to the teeth of the mother. All the other brothers and sisters push forward and push him back out the way. And then there's that prize one, that one that comes out first, that big one, the one that has all of the genetics from the mother and father, the one that's going to really represent that bloodline. That's the most valuable one. That's the one you can make the most money on. That's the one the Lord wanted you to kill, because he wanted you to think twice before you commit another sin. That's what it was. He wanted you to pay that fine. You pay $600 for speeding. You like, damn, next time you get on the freeway, you don't want to speed anymore. You want to go to speed limit. You want to put your car on cruise control because you don't want to pay that fine again. And that's what we were supposed to do. We're supposed to say, you know what? I'm not going to covet my neighbor's property anymore. I'm not going to steal from anyone. I'm not going to do this that's wrong. I'm not going to do that that's wrong. I'm not going to commit any sins anymore, so that I don't have to come out here and give these sacrifices to be forgiven for my sins. All right. So that's what the Lord is saying right here. And in verse 17, I'll read that again. See, thou hatest instruction, and casteth my words behind thee. You don't want to hear the part of the law that tells you to love your neighbor as yourself. You don't want to hear the part of the law that just says, obey these statutes and commandments, and you will be blessed above all nations. You want to just break the law and pay the fine. That's the spirit of who? Your oppressor to this day. That's the spirit of Esau. You see cats like that all the time. There was some drunk dude about a year or so ago that kept getting DUIs. He was driving Teslas. He was putting them on autopilot, riding down the Tesla. The police pull him over. He's in the back seat or in the passenger seat, drunk as a skunk. And they towing the car. But he said, you know what? I'm so rich, I'll buy another Tesla. And then 2 weeks later, you see him on Worldstar again, getting his car towed, getting arrested again, because he felt like he had enough money to pay the fine. Cats driving Lamborghinis. You hear about it, driving Ferraris. They're going to go 120 miles per hour down the freeway and say, you know what, get the ticket. I'll get pulled over, pay the ticket, and keep it moving. I just want to enjoy my fast car. That's how we were living when it comes to these laws of God. So let's go to Psalm 51 and 17. Okay. Matter of fact, we'll go to verse 16. We'll start at verse 15. The book of Psalms, chapter 51, verse 15. O Yahweh, open thou my lips, and my mouth shall show forth thy praise. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. For thou delightest not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of the Most High are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. Oh, my power. It's like, oh, the power. Thou wilt not despise. All right? So, what is being said right here by David, King David, is saying the sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, A broken and contrite heart. What does the word contrite mean? Contrite. Alexa, what is the definition of contrite?
The adjective contrite is usually defined as caused by or showing sincere remorse. For more, ask me to give you more definitions for contrite.
Give me more definitions for contrite. Alexa, give me more definitions for contrite.
I have one more definition for the adjective contrite, filled with a sense of guilt and a desire for atonement. Penitent.
Right. Filled with a sense of guilt and wanting atonement. Being remorseful, repentant, regretful, full of regret. That's a contrite spirit. This is not the spirit of your oppressors. You want to know the opposite of contrite? Someone that's not remorseful. Talk to the oppressor about them enslaving us. See how they're dealing with what is that called in Florida right now? They're dealing with the history, Black history. They call it the. Somebody type in the chat. What is that called? Black theory. What is it called? Man, something about history is black. I don't know why. It's something in my mind. That word always gets to me. Man, Florida. Relative theory. What is it? Racial theory? Critical race theory. That's it right there. Critical race theory. Ask them how they're dealing with critical race theory in Florida. They're not saying, "Oh, this is horrible what we've done to the so-called Black Americans, enslaving them, lynching them, hanging them." They don't want to teach it at all. They want to lie about it. They want to cover it up. They want to say that you're bringing division to America, talking about the things that America has done to you. That's the complete opposite of someone that's contrite or remorseful. It's a prideful people. And the Lord doesn't want us to be like that when it comes to sin. And you're not supposed to be like, "Oh yeah, I slept with dude's wife, but I paid my tithes. I did a sacrifice for it." That's how the Christian church is. Yeah, I sold dope, but I came and paid my tithes. You know what I mean? I gave this kid's mother crack cocaine. I gave 10% of it to the Lord. I gave out turkeys. I'm not sorry about it. I'm not remorseful about it. I'm gonna make a record about it. I'm gonna go platinum, making songs about how great of a drug dealer I am. That's not a contrite spirit. That's what the Lord wants you to be. He wants you to be remorseful for your sins, having a goddamn conscience about what you've done. All right, so let me read that one more time. The book of Psalms, chapter 51, verse 16. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else would I give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of the Most High are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart. O power, thou wilt not despise. Okay, well, there you go. Should work. All right, okay. Let's see. So hopefully that gives you the spirit and everything. So that's what they were. The purpose of sacrificing was as a fine. It was a way to lose something that was valuable to you, lose that bullet. You know, how much is a goddamn bull today? And that'll show you right there. How much is a bull worth today? So in the current market, a good bull is worth somewhere between $5,000 to $10,395 to a commercial cattle operation. God damn. You understand? A bull is a valuable animal. This bull is going to impregnate hundreds of cows. You're going to stud him out just like you would stud out that Gotti pit bull. People pay you to bring your male pit bull to lay down with their female pit bull. Am I making this up? Has anybody heard this before? I know brothers heard about this before. If you got an excellent specimen, an excellent animal, people will pay you to bring your animal to come and sleep with their animal, and then they will split up the litter with you as well, because they know the seed coming from this bull or this pit bull is very valuable. That's the same thing that was going on in the Bible day, man. You got this prize bull. Not only is he valuable, you can sell him for $5,000 today, $10,000. You can also go and stud him out and pick up $500 to let him go and lay with your cow, the female cow, and this female cow over here, and this female cow over here. So you're gonna take that prize bull, or you're gonna take, the prize cow from that litter or whatever you want to call it, and go ahead and kill it, sacrifice it, and get nothing from it. How about you just not sin anymore? How about next year you plan on not sinning, so you don't lose that $5,000, that $10,000 this year? That's what it was used for, to sway you with a heavy fine, so that you really see how heavy it is and how evil it is to sin against the laws of God. How about you have a contrite heart? How about you have a broken heart and feel bad for the person that you stole from? Feel bad for the man's house that you coveted. Feel bad for you destroying this brother's home by sleeping with his wife, destroying his children by sleeping with his wife, breaking up a family by sleeping with another man's wife. Why do you have to be put to death for doing it? Why do you have to be caught in the act for you and her to be put to death, man? Why do you have to go and sacrifice every year instead of you just not doing it? How about you have a goddamn conscience about your actions and your behavior, and don't give out turkeys from your drug money on Thanksgiving and Christmas? The people wouldn't need your damn turkeys if you weren't selling them crack and meth, and today opioids or whatever else people are drug addicted to today, fentanyl. They wouldn't need a free turkey if you wasn't taking all the money from them because you're taking advantage of their drug addiction, man. You wouldn't have to do any of these things, all right? So I digress. So let's go back to tonight's topic, which is all relative to tonight's topic. And shout out to the brother for asking the question about sacrifices, because our understanding is something that's not based in history, not based in reality. When people say dumb things like tithes are supposed to be fruit and corn, it's not supposed to be money. They don't realize that they had money in the Bible, and they were giving it to the priests at this time. So let's go to 2 Maccabees chapter 3, verse 7. Make sure you like the class, share the class, and subscribe to the channel on YouTube, on Facebook. All right? 2 Maccabees chapter 3, verse 7. Now, when Apollonius came to the king and had showed him of the money wherefore he was told, the king chose out Heliodorus, his treasurer, and sent him with a commandment to bring him the foresaid money. So forthwith Heliodorus took his journey under a color of visiting the cities of Celesyria and Phoenix, but indeed to fulfill the king's purpose. So they're basically, setting up the kick door, the back door, the lick, as we would say. And he's saying he's acting like he's on this mission, on this journey to go visit this town, but he's really trying to get to Jerusalem to get and take the money from our temple. All right. So verse 9. And when he was come to Jerusalem and had been courteously received of the high priest of the city, he told him what intelligence was given of the money, and declared wherefore he came, and asked if these things were so indeed. Then the high priest told him that there was such money laid up for the relief of widows and fatherless children. So he's coming, he's saying, I heard y'all got some money up in these treasuries inside the temple. You didn't hear they had 50,000 pounds of corn. You didn't hear they had 20,000 pounds of grain from the entire nation of Israel. Like, we go to Passover today, and our Passovers are glorious. The entire way we set it up, how we organize it, is in the Bible. You know who set up and organized the Passovers? I'm gonna ask the brother to take a shot in the chat real quick. I really like General Hazayan's Monday class or Monday show, Let a Hebrew Speak. He gets real interactive with the brothers on the chat. And so I'm going to do a little bit with that with y'all right now. The question I'm asking is when it comes to where, oh, it's like, how do I word this? How do I word this? I don't know where it is. So they have thousands of pounds in corn and all these things inside the temple, right? Somebody will just go ahead and Well, brothers, remember the question. Go ahead and answer the question I just asked. But like I said, General Haas, he likes to ask questions in the class and make people, be interactive with it. But let's go. I'm gonna read that one more time. Maybe it'll come back to me. So then the high priest told him that there was such money laid up for the relief of widows and fatherless children. So they didn't have a place stored up with all this corn, 50,000 pounds of corn and grain and all that. They had money inside the temple, and it was for the fathers, it was for the people. That's why they had these things stored up. Verse 11. And that some of it belonged to Hyrcanus, son of Tobias, a man of great dignity, and not as that wicked Simon had misinformed. The sum whereof in all was 400 talents of silver and 200 of gold. So this is a great amount of silver, a great amount of gold that was stored up in the temple, and that wasn't just there to come and just take from it. It was actually there with a purpose. Right? So let's drop that. Let's go to uh, Matthew chapter 6, verse 21. Book of Matthew chapter 6, verse 19. Let's start there. Okay. Lay not up for yourselves treasure upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. This is Christ. He's telling the people on what to be focused on, what your life should be about. Don't focus on treasures that you can store up on earth. Your life focus shouldn't just be getting the bag, how much you can save up, how much you can have in your bank account, how much jewelry you can fill up your safe with, how much property you can own. There's nothing wrong with getting money. There's nothing wrong with owning property. There's nothing wrong with having jewelry. All those things are lawful, and all those things can be useful if you use them in a right way to help your nation of people, to help the poor, to help the fatherless, to help build up the truth and the work of the Lord. But that's not what your life goal should be about. It's gaining these treasures that can be lost, that can be taken away. You can work your whole life, put your money in a savings account, and then the bank gets destroyed, and the dollar crashes. Then you put your money in buying property, and a tornado comes and tears down your house. Hurricane comes and tears down your house. The insurance company doesn't want to give you your money. You invested everything you had in your life, your entire energy, into making this money, and it comes and gets destroyed in the blink of an eye. And so now, what was your life about? Verse 21. For where your treasure is, it's like verse 20. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. Verse 21. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So the thing that you hold valuable, the thing that you want to store up on, that's where your heart, that's where your mind is going to be at. It's going to be focused on. Every day you waking up, you got to get to the bag. You got to do this deal. You got to do that deal. You're not thinking about helping the people, teaching your people, obeying the Lord. You're thinking about getting to the bag. That's where your heart is going to be, wherever your treasure is. But if you find treasure in doing the work of the Lord, that's where your heart is going to be. You also find treasure in insisting the people you want to give your money and pay tithes on it and give it to the people, to the priests, to distribute it to the people. Because that is where your heart, or that is where your mind is. Your mind is on the work of the Lord. Your mind is on the people. All right. Let's drop that. Let's go to Numbers chapter 18, verse 21. We're just coming up on 9 o'clock. Times here, let's try to run through these precepts. I know I get long-winded. Bear with me. Numbers 18 and 21. Let's see. All right. Book of Numbers, chapter 18, verse 21. And behold, I have given the children of Levi all the tenth in Israel for an inheritance, for their service which they serve, even the service of the tabernacle of the congregation. So even in that, this tenth you hear, and it doesn't say the tenth of the crops only of Israel, the tenth of the cattle only, the tenth of all in Israel, all the things that Israel produces or has, which includes money, the people are supposed to give to the priests. The Levites did not have their own inheritance of land. And so their inheritance was the tithes. That's how they were able to survive. This tribe, every tribe was given their own land. The tribe of Gad, the tribe of Reuben, the tribe of Issachar, the tribe of Judah. They're given this land. This land produced food. It produced vegetables. You can grow different crops. You can house your sheep. They feed off the grass. You're able to sell it. You're able to make money. You're able to provide for your family. And so since you're able to make money off of this land, and Levi doesn't have any money because they don't have the land, their inheritance comes from your small portion from each tribe, and everyone coming together to give to them so that they can do the work of the Lord and focus on that. And there's another precept in the book of, I believe it's Ecclesiastes in the Apocrypha. I'll find that as well, and why it's important for the priests to not work. Because, let's see, because if the priests were running around having to work and become farmers, then how would they have time to study the law? How would they have time to teach the people the law? How would they have time to make judgments on what's going with the law? It's no different than people paying taxes today. Or even when you think about the Pope today, what's his job? Where does the Pope get his money? Does the Pope go and have a slavery? These big time pastors, do they go and work at McDonald's on the days they're not preaching? They are able to survive off their congregations. And that's how the Lord set it up for the children of Israel. That these men had to do the work of the Lord, and that's it. That's their focus. And that's how it's supposed to be today. Let me see. Right here. We'll go over to Ecclesiastes chapter 38. Ecclesiastes chapter 38. Let's see. There's a lot of verses in here. We won't go over them all. Let's give a quick summary of it. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 38, verse 24. The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure, and he that hath little business shall become wise. The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure, cometh by the opportunity of having free time. That's how someone becomes wise. That's where people can gain knowledge. If you don't have free time, then when can you learn? When can you study? This is why going to college or a university was always for the upper class, the rich and the wealthy, going back to the days of our slavery when the world was a farming society. These Edomites and oppressors down south had plantations with 400 slaves on it, 200 slaves on it. They're making so much money, so much profit. They had free time on their hands. They were able to go and get educated. They're able to send their children off to school and get them educated. That's why the kings and the queens of Europe and all the different nations, the kings and queens of Africa, the kings and queens of China, back in the ancient days in antiquity, the wealthy rulers were able to send their children to these big universities to get educated because the children didn't have to work. But if you're a regular person and you live on a farm, these damn chickens are not going to deliver their eggs to you by their damn selves. This corn is not going to pick itself. This tomato is not going to water itself or plow the field itself. You're going to have to get out there and work. So, your kids are not going to be able to go to school and get educated, sit down and read a book. For what? The next 5 years, you want somebody to go to college, let alone, even college is extreme right now. Back then, just going to high school was a luxury for a lot of people. Going past, the further back you go in history, the less and less the average person was educated because the more and more they had to work and less free time. So this is where you get to the early 1900s. You hear about a lot of black people, a lot of Edomites. They're like, oh, I only finished 5th grade. That was a luxury in itself to allow a child to go to school from the age of 4 or 5 till they were about 8 to 12 years old. But after that, they had to go to work. They had to go help their parents on the farm, in the field. So back in history, way back in the days of the Bible, people didn't spend a lot of time going to the fields. So nowadays, everyone's able to go to college because society has gained so much money that they have things like financial aid. And that's why you go to these wealthy schools and wealthy colleges. The rich Edomites don't even know about the financial aid department. What the hell is that? They don't even understand that why black people and Latino people go to this financial aid department to get help with their money to pay for going to school. Why you have a student loan debt. You got millions of black people and Latino people who have hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to go to college because their parents don't really have $100,000 cash to pay for you to go to college to get an education. If it wasn't for the help of the government, there wouldn't be any black women going to college. That's another lie about them. They love to brag about how many black women have these degrees and all of that. If it wasn't for Uncle Sam, if it wasn't for government assistance, they would not have college degrees because you need to have money in order to be educated. You need to have free time. And the same thing applies to the work of the Lord. We read it again. Ecclesiastes chapter 38, verse 24. The wisdom of a learned man cometh by opportunity of leisure. And he that hath little business shall become wise. Hold on. Wait a second. Verse 25. How can he get wisdom that holdeth the plow, and that glorieth in the goad, that driveth oxen, and is occupied in their labors, and whose talk is of bullets? Like, how can someone gain wisdom and become wise if they're worried about the plow, working in the field, glorieth in the goads, the instrument you use to go and feed the cattle, that driveth the oxen and is occupied in their labors, and whose talk is of bullets? Like, all you talk about is going to work, what you do at work, how you were able to get this calf hooked up on this yoke today, how good of the spurs you got to ride your horse, how the chickens were moving today, how many eggs this. That's your whole focus in your slavery today. You know, man, it was busy at the job. They didn't want to give me extra hours and this. The boss called me in, but everything you focus on is about money, and it just goes on and it talks about all the different jobs and how people are focusing on their work. Uh, we'll drop down and see. Verse 30. He fashioneth the clay with his arm, and boweth down his strength before his feet. He applied himself to lead it over, and he is diligent to make clean the furnace. All these trust to their hands, and every one is wise in his work. Without these cannot a city be inhabited, and they shall not dwell where they will, nor go up and down. So we need these people to work in order for society to exist. This is why there's a great lie that we have in the ghetto and in our neighborhoods in the barrio, where the old people just tell you stay in school. That's it. They don't tell you what degree to get focused on. They don't tell you what field to go into to make money. They just tell you stay in school. Your sister is staying in school as a goddamn art major. She'd have gone into debt for $50,000 as a some other useless degree. You know, they have all these degrees that don't have any value because their parents just told you to stay in school. Like that's going to be the key to success. When these oppressors tell their children, get a degree in engineering, get a degree in computer science, get your BA in business or your master's in business. They tell them to get an MBA, go out and do this. They tell them to become a doctor, a specific kind of doctor. Get your degree in biochemistry so you can become a pharmacist. They're telling them exactly how to become successful. But in the ghetto, since your parents never went to college, never went and got an education, they just tell you to stay in school. Everybody can't go to school, Mom. Everybody can't become this and that. Some people need to stay and be plumbers. Some people need to stay and be electricians. Some people need to stay and do this and do that. And they don't have to go to 4 years of college to become educated and to support their family. So a city cannot run unless you have someone that has these skills. And a lot of our people in our communities miss out on well-paying jobs and careers because they're not given any options other than be a drug dealer or go to college. And you don't know anything about college. Be a prostitute or go to college and figure it out. Be a pimp or go to college. That's it. You don't know what you're going to do when you go to college. You don't know what you're going to study. All right. But there are ways to make money, and that city cannot survive without these people that go to work every day. Right. That's what the Bible is saying. Let's keep going. Verse 33. They shall not be sought for in public council, nor sit high in the congregation. They shall not sit on the judge's seat, nor understand the sentence of judgment. They cannot declare justice in judgment, and they shall not be found where parables are spoken. The people that are focusing on work are not going to be the ones that are in the position of being a priest. They're not going to be the ones that are going to judge the people in the law and matters of the law. They're not going to be the ones that are asked about the parables of the Bible because their focus is not on the work of the Lord. Verse 34. But they will maintain the state of the world, and all their desire is in the work of their craft. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 39, verse 1. But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancients, and be occupied in prophecies. He will keep the sayings of the renowned men, and where subtle parables are, he will be there also. And he will seek out the secrets of grave sentences, and be conversant in dark parables. That's the job of the priest. You can't be focused on a slavery and doing all the worries of the world and be giving 100% to the work of the Lord. And so that's how it's supposed to be. It's a damn shame that the brothers in the ISUPK today, many brothers have to work in slavery and cannot focus 100% on the work of the Lord. It's a sad thing. I know there's many brothers that want to get to camp but can't get to camp because they have to go to work. Want to get to class but can't get to class because they have to go to work. Want to do this and want to do that, but all their time is given to their slave master. Want to study precepts, remember precepts, and go through different dark parables in the Bible and get the breakdown. They don't have the time to sit there and study and read 8 hours a day because they have to go and slave 8 hours a day. And that's something that I saw our enemies, the so-called Jewish people, or the tribe of Amalek in the Bible. They're saying that their yeshivas or their schools, that they study the Torah and they study the Tanakh. And they said a lot of those cats are studying 16 hours a day in those yeshivas, going through the ins and outs and ins of this Bible because they have the opportunity, because their people have money. Because their cousin owns ABC and NBC and donates $1 million a year to their yeshiva, their school. So now the people in the school don't have to pay for tuition. They don't have to pay to go and house their family. They're able to sit and study the Torah to not become rabbis and become leaders of their people. That's how it's supposed to be here in the truth. Jay-Z is supposed to go out and make billions of dollars, send his money to the truth. And so the brothers here that are priests and prophets don't have to work, and that we can study and really get into this Bible and go and teach and help the people. Go and make decisions in matters of the law according to the Bible. All right? And that's how the Lord set it up for the children of Levi. All right, we at 9:18. See, I might bring out one more precept and go ahead and close it out for time's sake. See, I know I always say we'll get back to it next week, but this time I will bring any more precepts I have for sure next week on this. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22. Deuteronomy chapter 14, verse 22. And it reads, "Thou shalt truly tithe all the increase of thy seed, that field bringeth forth year by year." So it says, if you have seed, if you have things that you've grown, pay 10% of it. If you don't want to give any money to the ISUPK because you don't believe tithes is money, then bring us your goddamn corn in. Go spend your money at the store, buy some corn and give it to us. Give us some tomatoes, we'll give it to the people. If that's what you truly believe. But if you don't know the Bible because you don't know the Bible, that's pretty much what we're going to read. Right, verse 23. "And thou shalt eat before Yahweh thy power in the place which he shall choose to place his name there. The tithe of thy corn and of thy wine and thy oil and the firstlings of thy herds and of thy flocks, that thou mayest learn to fear Yahweh thy power always." Give these good things, give these things to the Lord, because you're going to fear the Lord, and you know that the Lord is the one that gave them to you. There's nothing wrong with you giving it up, because you know where you got it from. Verse 24. "And if the way be too long for thee, so that thou art not able to carry it, or if the place be too far from thee, which Yahweh thy power shall choose to set his name there, when Yahweh thy power hath blessed thee, then thou shalt turn it into money, and bind up the money in thine hand, and shalt go unto the place which Yahweh thy power shall choose. And thou shalt bestow that money for whatsoever thy soul lusteth after, for oxen or for sheep, or for wine or for strong drink, or for whatsoever thy soul desireth, and thou shalt eat there before Yahweh thy power, and thou shalt rejoice, thou and thy household. And the Levi that is within thy gate, thou shalt not forsake him, for he hath no part nor inheritance good deed. So that's what you're supposed to give it to them. Their priest is supposed to take it and do what they want with it. They want to buy some strong drink. They want to buy some cattle and eat barbecue. They want to go fix their home or fix their whatever they want to, their chariot, whatever they need to do, buy some garments, whatever they need to do with that money that you give them is what they want to do with it. But if you live too far to bring a whole bunch of corn, it's going to rot, or you have so much that's not going to benefit the priest, then exchange it for money. And this is where you get Christ, and we'll go over this next week. But this is where you get Christ going into the temple, beating the people out of the temple because they were money exchangers. What were they there for? Why were they exchanging money in the temple? It's because people had to bring their different crops, different things, or whatever, and exchange it for a currency so that they could pay the priest, or bring whatever their different money they had to the priest and exchange it, and they were going to pay their weight of their sacrifice. So let's say you're supposed to come and bring a bullock, okay, but you didn't bring a bullock because it was too far, or whatever reason. But you have $3,000. Well, you're going to talk to the exchanger. He's going to say, okay, well, you're supposed to sacrifice 5 turtle doves, 2 chickens, and a bull. That would come up to the total of 7,000 shekels, whatever, 500 shekels, who knows. Well, the reason why Christ was casting those brothers out of the temple is because they were thieves. They were robbing the people. They were overcharging them for the exchanges that they were doing. They weren't giving them honorable weights and balances in their exchanges. They were high pricing them. Or how they used to say back in the days, the old folks used to say, they were jipping them. You know where that word jipping comes from? High jipping, the gypsies, to go around and swindle people out of their goods and out of the things they had. You got some gold, you trying to buy, okay, you got this, you got that, well, give me this, but they swindling you, they jipping you out of the things that you have. And that's what was going on in the temple. These money changers and exchangers were not giving honorable scales and balances, not giving honorable exchanges for the things that the people were bringing to them. Right? So with that, we'll go ahead and close out for time's sake. We'll get back into this. Let me write down where I'm at so I remember where to start off next week. Deuteronomy 14 and 25. All right. So with that, I'll go ahead and salute the brothers. Let's see what the brother Uriah said. I'm on here. Shalom, Officer Shabal. How you doing out there, sir? Let's say Shalom, Israel. Go ahead. Uriah Bar said, well, they help their people get grants that they don't have to pay back. Right. Yep. Just like that crazy dude used to come on in infomercials back in the days. He talking about giving free grants, free money you don't have to pay back. He had a whole suit full of question marks on it. Something like that. You know what I mean? These oppressors know ways to get money and help their people. Like Mr. Fab was saying when we went out to the backpack giveaway, that the county of Alameda gets $100 million a year to go out and help the community. But Oakland does not see any of that money. People in Dublin is a predominantly Edomite city. They're getting $20 million for homelessness. But there aren't any homeless people out there. How are they doing it? It's they know how to work the paperwork. They know how to get the paperwork done to benefit their community. We don't know these things, so like you said, their people get grants that they don't have to pay back, and that's how they get into school, get this education, right? But with that, I'll go ahead and salute everybody online. How about Shem Yahshua Thumb, to all the brothers, to all the sisters, Yahweh Shamar, and the Thumb by Shem Yahshua. And with that, class